I dislocated my knee 2 days ago. I had a normal typical training. I was doing some freestyle, trying a few tricks, and then my battery died in my camera, and I just decided to do a few straight bar handstands as I usually did. And I even, in one of the attempts, I fell from the bar, landed on my legs, like a normal, typical landing for me. But then, the attempt right after it, I landed in a way that basically I dislocated my knee. And I dislocated it for the second time. So my knee before it happening was already like weakened, in its weakened state. And so it was much easier for me to dislocate it once again. But the point here, I'm not going to waste your time, is that if something repeatedly happens in your life, and usually something like me dislocating my knee, it is usually something that tries or is trying to teach you a lesson. And if it is happening repeatedly, it means that you haven't like actually learned your lesson. And so it will keep repeating until you will change something in your life, until you will eventually like learn the lesson. And so for me, I had trouble with my knee when I was much younger. I was doing parkour, and then it was actually last year I dislocated my knee for the first time, and 2 days ago I dislocated it for the second time, which means it's a repeated action or a repeated process, something that's repeating over and over again in my life. And you have to be vigilant and try to spot these things that repeatedly happen in yours. And most of the time when you have problems with your legs, it could be like my injury, which is dislocating my knee. It could be that you did something with your ankle. It could also be that you broke one of your bones in your legs. It doesn't matter. The point is that it's something that happens to your legs. And legs are like a symbol of walking in a certain path or going in some kind of direction. And so if something happens to your legs, it usually means that you are going in the wrong direction and you should take like a break for a second, stop for a second, and think critically if the direction or the path which you have decided to take is the correct one. But it mainly works when you have something that happens repeatedly, because then it could be related to something else entirely. And so think if you have anything like that in your life. I will try to explain it with the example of my own life, which is that I have been really trying to push myself, trying to accomplish many things in calisthenics, mainly in freestyle, so like the combination of statics and dynamic moves and stuff like that, basically the competition style. I was trying to be great at it, and I also wanted to compete, which I have actually done. I have gone to, I believe, 4 competitions or so, and during the last one I managed to get 3rd place. And after the competition, that was actually the time when I dislocated my knee for the first time. And the point which I'm trying to make is that I had many plans in calisthenics, but when I accomplished or got to the 3rd place, maybe I should have realized that the path which I was taking might not have been the right one. And that's why I dislocated my knee for the first time, so that I would realize that, alright, you have achieved your dream, which was to stand on the podium, and now think about what you actually want to do, continuing onwards. And I haven't done that. I tried pushing calisthenics even after I dislocated my knee. I was disciplined, I was relentless, that eventually I almost completely recovered. And then 2 days ago I dislocated my knee for the second time. And now I truly believe that life has been trying to give me the lessons. It was trying to teach me that, or it was trying to warn me that I'm not going in the right direction. And since I wasn't listening to the small warnings, which were that I almost always had wrist pain, I almost always had back pain. If you were to check my previous videos in this series, you would see that almost always I talk about back pain or wrist pain, sometimes even shoulder pain, and it's something that I was dealing with all the time in my calisthenics journey. Like, I almost never had a normal training when I didn't have any problem. and that's also why I didn't manage to get proper statics, or I couldn't really train statics because I always had some kind of a problem. And the reason is that maybe going in this path just wasn't the right way. And since I wasn't listening to the small warnings, life had to give me a bigger one, which was the second time of me dislocating my knee. And so what you can take from this video is that if you have something that repeatedly happens, in this case it could be something with your legs, you broke your leg for instance, it could mean that you have to take a break for a second or stop for a second and think if the direction you are taking is the correct one. Maybe what life has meant for you was something different and you should follow that path instead of going through the path which you are undertaking right now. And so always be vigilant, always be reflective towards the things that happen in your life, because you never know, they can be like a warning or a sign that you should change something in your life. And I apologize for not speaking to the point and not being in the proper speaking flow state. Like these past 2 days were pretty difficult and I had trouble to do anything productive since it was so unexpected. Like I got back to my old regime during the last summer when I dislocated my knee for the first time. It was so sudden that it caught me by surprise, and so it was super difficult for me to even make myself record this video, this lesson. After I finished recording the lesson, I decided that I would also train today, and I also recorded how my knee looks right now. As you can see, there is a huge difference between my left leg and the right one. The right one was the one which I dislocated, and as you can see, there is still a lot of swelling, especially on the top part as well as the lower part. And I can't walk with it properly right now. I am just using it to balance myself most of the time. And as you can see, I can only bend it to this amount or this degree. I can't bend it more than this point. And just very quickly during the training session, I have just done a few sets of weighted push-ups with 30 kilograms, as well as just a quick activation of front lever. But I didn't want to push myself too hard with that because of my back pain. And so I hope it was valuable or maybe inspiring in any kind of way. And if you liked what I was talking about, you can check out the first link in the description, and afterwards you can watch this video next.